Shocking news and what happened this week. 13. What do you get when you have a German president, the British king, and two African countries with a history of colonial oppression and resistance in East Africa? Well, a spectacle of empty words and gesture. But to be honest, I don't blame our visitors. I blame us for entertaining such nonsense. Recently, the German president visited Tanzania and the British king visited Kenya. Side note, I didn't even know that Germany had a president. I got used to that. Never mind. These two men were visiting the crime scenes where their ancestors committed serious atrocities, and all they did was to utter some words of regret for the horrors of colonialism, playing lip service to their host, the usual PR stunts to appease the locals while improving their image and securing their interest on the continent. All these apologies over the years have avoided using the word genocide, which could have legal consequences. Besides, they don't see it as such. Nah, these were just few mistakes along the way. Let's move on, let's forget. Just imagine if murderers in court were allowed to walk free just because they said I'm sorry, while carefully choosing words to avoid saying. But once again, I don't blame them. In Tanzania alone, we are talking about over 300,000 lives lost during the Maji Maji revolt, which is considered to be the bloodiest anti-colonial revolt in East Africa. Link in the comments. In Kenya, the Mau Mau freedom fighters and their supporters were killed, tortured, and placed in the Gulag. By the way, the direct victims of these atrocities and their ascendant, because we don't descend from our ancestors, they are still alive today. You see, these empty apologies are nothing but empty gestures. They are part of a larger scheme of maintaining and expanding Europe's influence and interest in Africa, not of fostering a more equal and respectful partnership based on mutual values and goals. However, I don't blame them. I blame us, not you, but our political class who are happy to just go along to get along instead of making things clear that the only apologies we will now accept are reparation, compensation, and restitution. And if you are not ready for that, then don't bother coming to my country, because I have to answer to my people, and no amount of sorry will change that. But here we are. This week, the Malian government was shocked to be surprised, shocked to find out that the UN mission in the country, MINUSMA, had left their base in Kidal without informing them or waiting for their forces to take over. But this is not the first time that MINUSMA has abandoned its base to the armed groups that are opposed to the Malian government. And those armed groups have attacked the same UN troops convoy on their way out. The Malian government and MINUSMA had agreed that the mission should leave by the end of this year, 2023, which would give everyone enough time to prepare. However, MINUSMA has already withdrawn from 5 camps since July of 2023 and has been forced to destroy and commission its equipment to prevent them from falling into the wrong hands. They've also complained, MINUSMA have also complained that the Malian authorities have blocked 200 of their trucks and tankers in Gao since September 2024, slowing down their withdrawal. However, the Malian authorities say that the quantity of fuel was not justified, and there is a suspicion that MINUSMA will deliver it to the rebels. Meanwhile, France, which has also been booted out of the country, has made a provocative statement on October 11, 2023, through its Minister of Armed Forces, Sébastien Lecornu, and I quote, "There could be a partition of Mali in the coming weeks or months," end quote. Listen, this does not help the situation, especially coming from a country that failed to do what it said it was going to do. But back to the story. If the UN mission is really concerned and care about the Malian people, then why impose such a dangerous pace of withdrawal on the Malian government? Unless there is an ulterior motive. Now, if you say you are trying to help someone, and after a while that someone asks you to stop helping, what's there to be mad about? In my village, they say, it is better to sit on a stool that belongs to you than to sit on a chair you've borrowed. And the reasoning behind this saying is so that you do not get humiliated publicly the day the owner comes to collect the chair and leave you standing or sitting on the floor. How humiliating, right? But That's what 4 African countries are about to experience. The US president announced his intention of ending the preferential treatment of 4 African countries from the AGOA trade program, which gives them the duty-free access to the US market. These countries are the Central African Republic, Uganda, Niger, and Gabon. But what's the reasoning behind the old man's decision? Well, he accused the Central African Republic and Uganda of abusing human rights, the good old human rights that the United States of America cares so much about that it will go to any length to defend it, right? And the other two, Niger and Gabon, were accused of failing to uphold democracy and the rule of law. In a letter to the Congress, the American president accused this country of ignoring the US concerns about their non-compliance with the AGOA eligibility criteria, despite intensive engagement. Now, this decision is set to take place on January 1st, 2024, but the US says it will keep an eye to them to see if they improve their behaviors and bow to Washington's demand like good servants. But remember, on January 1st, 2022, the US terminated the AGOA trade preference program for Mali, Ethiopia, and Guinea. Or in 2018, when Rwanda decided to ban import on second-hand clothes, the US quickly gave Rwanda 60 days notice before being suspended from the program. But let's be clear, I don't blame them. I blame us. I blame us for lacking the aggressive political will to build with each other and rely on each other for our basic needs. We have brilliant minds who can come up with ideas to tackle these challenges, but we lack the political willingness to do that. And these kinds of decisions, to me, it's like a blessing in disguise. We will either be forced to work together, or we will continue to be humiliated on the global scene one by one. See you next Sunday. If it's your first time interacting with my content, I would like to welcome you and let you know that I have a podcast on YouTube full of non-political stories. You can find it in the podcast sections of the channel. I also have a book of Proverbs which you can access through the link below. Moreover, I create fire content that speaks for itself. Please check out my catalog and thank you for your time.
We, ni nini?